Subscribe for all the best builds, tips and Pro Club series on YouTube. We are approaching 85,000 subscribers. Can we get that today? Welcome back to our series. We are covering all builds and we've already done striker and cam on FIFA 20 Pro Clubs. This may surprise some of you, but I'm not a Pro Club centre mid. I know, the majority of you, you're probably falling off your chairs, you're face down on the floor, but get back up, because we've had help. Luckily, we got some pals who are decent at playing in centre mid, and Joe Kitchen is one of them. His Twitter is linked in the description, and he is a top class centre mid in the FIFA Pro Club scene. I've played a lot of Pro Clubs with Joe, and this man knows how to play in centre mid, and if you have any other questions, I'm sure he wouldn't mind if you hit him up on his Twitter. Go and drop him a follow. It's in the description. So we're actually having two builds here. We're going to be looking at two builds, and the reason for this is that centre mid is... Jesus, EA. Where do we start? If you've seen our leveling guide, how to reach maximum level on Pro Clubs the fastest, then you'll know all too well the centre mid isn't actually in the game at all. They've got the tab for it on the tier list in the official Excel spreadsheet guide thing. Look, we've done a whole video on it. If you want to know how to get to max level, just click the link in the top right now or in the description. But in typical EA style, they forgot to put it in the game. You can't actually make a centre mid build, so what's the point of the video, I hear you ask? Well, luckily we've improvised. Centre mid is such a diverse position that the first build we're going to be looking at is 5'8" box to box. There's going to be two builds we're focusing on here, guys. Now 5'8", right mid or left mid, obviously it doesn't matter, £149. This build is best if you're going to be relied on to create. So if you're playing in a 4-3-3 formation where you don't have a cam, nobody's creating chances, this build will work for you. It has its advantages in the passing and the dribbling aspects of the position, and you can see the traits that Joe's applying here on screen, and pause it at any point if you want to copy them. But if we're looking through them, you can see the first thing he's got is that second win trait, massively important. In centre mid, you want to be balanced between attack and defence. So some of the defending ones there, 4-star skill moves is about all he can manage in this skill tree. And I've said this in other build videos, it's a shame they've added in so many more skill traits and not increase the points. It means that you have to miss out on things, and that is quite annoying when you put a lot of time into the game. It would have been nice if they allowed you to kind of have more, but they don't. All the pace and sprint speeds are applied, of course none in the goalkeeper tab. And yeah, that's the first build, guys. Looking at it, if you're going to be looking to create in midfield, you might want to go down that route. Now let's look at more of a box-to-box build. Now bear in mind, the box-to-box setting actually does nothing. EA conned us once again. They put it into the game. It doesn't do anything. The stats have zero effect on the stats. But this build is actually a right back. And of course you can play in left back. It really doesn't make a difference. So you're going to set yourself as a right back, 5'10", £149. It's best for formations like a 4-1-2-1-2, as you're going to be, trying to sit behind the cam as he's the main creator in the team, and you can take some attacking threat down on the stats, but you're going to increase your defensive influence on the side, and that's really important when you're playing in a centre mid role as well. So really, out of the two of these builds, whatever your play style is, you can choose between them. There's going to be some clips to follow soon, but before we get into them, speak with your team. If you're playing in 11 versus 11 clubs, or if you're just playing with your mates, a couple of you, try to work out which build is best for your system and give both a go. These builds, they're just a good indication and more of a guide, and often on FIFA, it's completely circumstantial to whatever suits your playstyle and your team, and these builds are just an indication, like I said, for stuff that might work. If you're completely lost and you're rocking like a 6-7, £99 build, maybe mix it up a bit and try one of these. You can see the traits on the screen right now. Again, you can pause it if you want to and have a look through them, but they're fairly obvious. And now I think it's time that we get into breaking down and looking at some of the clips from Joe, and these clips are mainly taken from 11 versus 11 Pro Clubs. So 11 versus 11 clubs is a little bit crazy this FIFA. I think it might just be because everyone's low level, like 86, 87 max at this point of the game cycle. But it's just so scrappy and hard to really create anything clean. Lots of bad touches. But Joe, you can see, doing a lot of brilliant finishing in these builds here. I mean, some of the finishing is surprising when you set up as a centre mid or obviously a left back, but it seems like it's no issue for him. In these clips, he hasn't specified which build is which, but you can kind of pick up on the fact that this seems to be more of a creative. I mean, that is a lovely pass. Probably a first-time R1 square, that one, to get the ball in there. A nice L1 triangle there. You kind of look at his positioning in these clips and you can tell he has got a beyond the striker a few times, but it's not something you want to do too much. You're there to sit behind the cam, sit behind the strikers, and try and create as much as you can. But obviously when you lose possession, you're in a decent position to pick up the ball again. This clip here gives you a good idea of the passing range. I mean, that's a lovely ball over the top, worked perfectly, and I'm sure they go on to score this chance here. Some nice skill and a lovely front post finish. The front post finishing is definitely OP compared to trying to go back stick in 11 versus 11 clubs. Again, it creates a nice ball there, plays it through, and the striker does very well. And here you can see just making a few interceptions and tackles in a defensive role position. It's obviously working for him. I mean, some nice tackling there. Again, we go on. You can see stopping the team from getting out of their box, pushing up high. A tackle there that you have to make. If you don't make that, you're kind of in trouble because you're going to be called out of position and they can obviously go on and break. As I said, Joe's links are in the description if you do want to hit him up and ask some more questions about the build. This is obviously fairly early on in the FIFA cycle. I will develop builds as patches come out and release updates on what I'm using, what players like Joe are using further on in the game cycle when the game changes and we've reached max level. But around this time, this is two builds that Joe absolutely loves, and that is a great ball there through. I mean, the passing in this game is a little bit dodgy, but from the clips on screen here, Joe's passing looks to be fairly decent. I mean, he had that passing speciality trait on. Maybe that's helped him out. But for now, I want you guys to go and give it a go. Let me know what you think. I think some final tips to mention if you're playing in the centre mid role. I have sort of touched on them, but don't overlap the striker too much unless there is a real gap and you can see it and you really think you're going to go for it. Try to sit back and create and be in that position to break up attacks from the opposition's team. So many times I've played with centre mids and they're awful because all they want to do is overlap, get in behind, and they get caught out of position multiple times. It's really, really frustrating. If you're playing 11 versus 11 pro clubs on FIFA 20 and you're in a 4-1-2-1-2 formation, you're rocking that centre mid build, you're going to have to get used to moving the ball quickly and almost adapt to the game's unpredictability. I mean, the amount of bad touches we take and the amount of bad headers that I've seen. And in situations on FIFA 19 where you might be able to control the ball and take a little bit longer, it doesn't exist anymore. So get used to moving fast, thinking ahead, what you want to do before you get the ball. And like I said in my other tips video to you guys, if you are struggling, if you're not having the best game and it's all kind of going wrong, half time, just have a look at your performance. Have a look at how many times you've lost the ball. Have a look at how many out of positions you've got, unless you're playing cam. Obviously, that doesn't matter. And just try and improve the little things. If you can just lose the ball 8 times in one half, and then you go into the second half and you've only lost it twice, and you've increased your pass accuracy, then you're going to have done a lot better. And small things like that will help you become a much better player in like 11 versus 11 club. I assume the majority of you guys watching this play with quite a few players. I doubt there's many of you playing 2v2 pro clubs with your mate and you're rocking a centre mid. It's not very likely that that's a good idea. Your main jobs are really going to be to link the attack and the defence, try to stop their team on the counter or the break, and to try and make sure that you've got a decent ball retention. There's nothing worse than having a player in the middle of the pitch lose the ball 10 times a game. It's going to happen when you're in striker because you've got to take those risks, maybe more so than if you were in another position. You've got to try and take somebody on. You're gonna lose the ball. It's going to happen. But when you're in a centre mid position, you need to be calm. You need to be keeping possession. If you lose the ball in those areas of the pitch as well, in the middle or obviously just in front of your defence, it's dangerous. You're going to leave yourself very open to be counter-attacked. So I guess just do your best to not do that. And a final tip from Joe, he said, the best tip he can probably give is to always make sure that you yourself are an option and find space so it's easy for your team to play off of you. Keep it simple on the ball, kind of reiterating what we said. There's no need to try anything too crazy. Just play the simple passes and then open up spaces for your team to play off of you. Pretty decent tip to close out the video with. These clips have only been recorded over 2 or 3 days, so it's good to see so many class clips coming in already from Joe. Proves his quality, and obviously if you want to copy his build, please do go ahead and do so. And before we close out this video, I just want to say a huge thank you to Joe for giving us his build. Again, his link's in the description. You can find him and drop him a message if you want some tips on how to become a little bit better at playing centre mid on FIFA 20 Pro clubs. All the other videos I spoke about, a striker build, a cam build, are on the channel, or you can find them in the description. Send them to your mates if they're absolutely shite. They need some improvement. Those builds will definitely help them a little bit on the way. And that's going to be it. Unfortunately, I can't bring you a specific centre mid build because EA don't even bother to put a centre mid build in their own game. Give these builds a try. Let me know what you think. Drop a like, and as said at the start, please subscribe to this channel. If you love pro clubs, it means a hell of a lot to me, and we're creating a mad community here of everyone who just loves this game mode. Close to 85,000 subscribers. I will see you guys tomorrow with more Pro Clubs content, coming at you with a Race to Division 1 episode. I'll catch you tomorrow.